Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall continue to follow me all the days of this protracted experience of death, and I will dwell in the house of the most super intelligent power, source, and force of love and creation forever. What's happening? Benton here. Rolling out of the truck stop. Christmas Eve day, early morning. What do we got? Just about 1,000 miles to our delivery, Friday delivery. In south of Austin, Texas. Where are we? Effingham, Illinois. A bit of a truck stop town, if that means anything. The big old Petro, a Flying J, smaller TA, and small Pilot. Pretty trucker friendly. The Walmart has truck parking, and about 30 miles from here is Vandalia. Am I saying that right? Illinois, I believe. Yeah, Vandalia. I don't know how to say that. They have a Walmart also with truck parking. I almost parked there at a truck. I remembered it was only a few days ago I bought all of their Mountain Valley spring water. I don't know. I guess I could have checked the app, but I don't know. It's back in stock. So 2 different routes the Royal Wheat could take. I guess we're going to go down through Arkansas, my home state. Or wait a minute, did I even make that choice? Let's see, maybe I didn't. I haven't decided. It's Arkansas or Oklahoma. Okay, I see. We can bypass St. Louis. That's what it is. What road is that? Okay, I know which way we're going. We're going this way. We're going this way. I guess going all the way across Missouri would also be an option. This would be fine. I don't think I've been across Arkansas in a while. They may have stepped up enforcement of commercial motor vehicles. I think that was the main reason I was considering avoiding it. Not sure it matters at this point. Shout out to the chat. Good morning. GW. We're chilling. What y'all up to? A rare 2 days in a row of just, again, barring the unforeseen, easy driving. Wake up at the truck stop, drive miles or so, park at the truck stop, do it again the next day. It's funny, I used to do a way more of that, especially on my second job with design transportation. And sometimes I would return through Atlanta. So I had a lot of days on that job where that's what I did. Woke up already loaded, drove my shift, parked at a truck stop early in the day, and had the rest of the day to do as I pleased. Of course, no personal conveyance on that job. So maybe a little creative, do the shopping during the shift. Of course, it wasn't too much longer after that the pandemic started and Walmart started closing. I remember being able to, Walmart closed, no longer open 24 hours, I should say. I remember being able to do my shopping at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. That'd be nice. I'm going to try to catch a Walmart this morning. They're closed tomorrow. I don't know if they close early today or not, but I try not to be in there later in the day. But yes, protection, deliverance, healing, and restoration. And old Benton is experiencing quite a bit of all of 4, but certainly the healing and the restoration, especially around certain digestive functions. Excretory, is that the right term? Excretory. What's up, Bulk Hungry? Good to see you, my man. Trust that you're well. Yeah, I wouldn't call it sick yesterday. I had a lot of what I would call detox symptoms, as we seem to be accessing greater levels of healing and restoration for the old colon or large intestine. And I was just wiped the fuck out by the time actually, early in the shift, I was pretty wiped out. Damn near pulled over and laid down before I could even make the delivery. And managed to push on through. Then I think I deadheaded like 30 miles. Yeah, first the delivery, Mattoon, Illinois, then deadheaded to Effingham, actually. Got loaded there and just went straight to the truck stop. Resisted the urge to bobtail to Walmart because, the last minute holiday shopping and such, in effect. Although certainly muted compared to prior years. This old economic depression, this great economic depression for the poor folks, right? It's never a depression for the rich folks, but the actual rich folks. Many people faced with their own poverty, perhaps for the first time. Although I would argue that it's always been noticeably present. Many folks brainwashed and just choosing not to understand that poverty that's been present. But yeah, without getting into details, we've had it's been real, man, in a good way. We've had quite a bit of that good pain. I mainly just laid down and managed to make some orders on Amazon. I almost bought the old Google Pixel 10, but I'm still undecided because I'm trying to decide if I can live without the physical tray or not. I think I can. So we'll see. maybe another opportunity will arise. I did manage to order some shoes, waterproof, mid-top shoes, hiking shoes. Of course, last time I ordered shoes on Amazon, they were late. Actually, I think the shipment got lost or whatever, or maybe the driver quit and YOLO. Who knows? Maybe they just left the van wherever, or just threw the packages away. Maybe somebody had a crash. I don't know. Whatever happens. Re-upped on the old ginseng, just some various things that old Benton finds convenient. Let's see if I can sneak into a Whole Foods on the way down. We'll see. Yeah, the Amazon package is going to Rockwall, Texas. Be there tomorrow. Hopefully they'll be there. We'll see. Experiment high alkaline water that's 9.5 pH. The mountain spring water is like 7.6 or something. I don't know if that contributed to the healing and restoration of the old large intestine or not. But I've still got the headache. I've noticed I've still got the detox headache, a little bit of stress and tension in the upper back. Trimmed up quite a bit. From off of the recent weight gain, got a little sloppy. I definitely put on some muscle in my legs. So my legs got so scrawny. So yeah, good times. The holidays are here. Most of us, I don't know, do we care? The audience, the deep thinkers, right? I guess what I like about this style of whatever this is, content. No, there you go, Glenn. What's up, man? Yeah, we're not holiday people, are we? I think so. I would say that folks probably have some things in common with some differences. A lot of uniqueness, I would suspect. I would say nowadays, it's just don't, as long as the person, some of us will never be normies, right? I think some of us pass for normies at times. I did earlier in life, but that seems to be one of the keys is don't entirely fall into norminess or NPC land. But, and again, that's not an option, I would say, for a lot of folks, but that's a bridge too far, thankfully. Let your freak flag fly, as it were. And that's the thing is, somebody can be somewhat reserved and conservative, whatever the fuck that even means. And by the way, who's fucking more strange and bizarre and off-putting than what passes for a conservative these days? I mean, come on. I mean, really, this has gotten bad. You got And, I don't even really process the details anymore, and we try not to talk about current events too much, but just the Trump Epstein, whatever all that is, and then JD Vance trying to train with the Navy SEALs or whatever the fuck he was doing, which seems to only be a meme opportunity. I couldn't really tell the purpose otherwise, you know. Certainly no such thing as negative attention in old Vance's world. Yeah, you already cared. There you go. Well, I was married a couple times, so you just sort of do the holidays. Yeah, other than that, I'm good. Michael Dukakis in the Beetle Bailey tank helmet. Oh, you know what? I'd forgotten about that. And I don't know me, but most of what I knew about politics back then came from the Doonesbury cartoon comic strip in the newspaper, because I read the newspaper, but I didn't understand. I had almost no understanding of politics. So that's the main reason I even know who Michael Dukakis was. It's Doonesbury. I'm pretty sure Doonesbury used to go at him a lot. That's funny. It's a big newspaper comic strip fan back in the day. And, I would read the political cartoons or whatever, kind of try to decode them. Man, what a mess. What a mess. Truck stop was a ghost town when I parked yesterday, but it was about half full. It's a big lot. That Flying J's gigantic parking lot. It's about half full by the time I got out of there this morning. Probably mostly rookies that got tricked into working the holidays. The company couldn't figure out how to get them home. How many of them are going to quit over it, right? As far as the healing and restoration, I woke up about midnight. Uh, did not fall back asleep, thankfully, but rested almost 2 more hours. Deep rest. If anybody remembers old Jim Carrey running around all crazy with the long hair and the beard, talking a bunch of that, he kept going on and on about the, Christ being a metaphor for some kind of oil ascending the spine into the pineal gland or whatever that was. I don't. He knew all the details, as I recall. Even talk about waking dreams, surrealistic unreality. I remember he was on with Norm Macdonald trying to talk all of that. It's pretty funny, but apparently the word is he freaked out, had a bunch of mental breakdowns because of his lifestyle, and apparently that chick from that Lauren Holly chick, I guess he was with her for a while. Apparently he screwed her up somehow. I don't know. It's just stuff I hear. I can't be bothered to look into it. But I remember him talking about depressed as code for, or depression or depressed as code for like deep rest. And I'm certainly not experiencing depression at this point, but the deep rest certainly seems to be a thing. You know, how many folks chasing their own tails and, you know, sacrifice the Moloch's machine of industrial and post-industrial society, you know, trying to pay their bills. You know, people yelling on TikTok about, you know, however high their energy bills are. They're making TikToks all bundled up because they're trying to keep their thermostats at 68 and or whatever. And yeah, some of it's performative, some of it's whatever gets the attention and the likes and the shares. So yeah, I understand that. Some of it's just straight up psyops and, you know, funded, all of this. Yeah, all of that. Yes, none of that really operates by way of negation, I would assert. Now, what I think about when I see that, I think about how many people will continue to talk about the economy is going to collapse. Things sure are getting bad. You know, is there going to be a depression or a recession? It's like, yo, it's here, man. It's been here since at least 2008, 2009. And, you know, at a certain point, people are looking around like, hey, what's the deal with all these homeless drug addict, mentally ill drug addicts everywhere? And it's like, the banks got bailed out. The American taxpayer bailed out the world's financial system. Millions of people had their homes stolen. I don't know. You tell me. This all really happened, right? Even if reconciling for waking dreams are realistic on reality, it apparently all happened. As far as I can tell. My own father, who trades, you know, does trading, day trading, going back to the 90s, follows the financial markets on a daily basis for decades now, staring at tickers. And I get into conversations with him from time to time because I know just enough to talk about the economy, so-called economy. And I referenced the global financial crisis, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." Just unironically, you forgot about it. Like, I've been running almost all of my thoughts through the lens and filter of 0809 since 0809, or at least 2010, 2011. You know, after studying it well enough. You know, just the PTSD of that, right? And most people, and it's okay, but most people don't even know what that was. And of course, there was a second bailout that just really wasn't talked about. I think that was around 2021, maybe 2022. I remember reading the articles. I was like, oh, yeah, well, there you go, bailout 2.0. I mean, if you think the government's going to send stimmies, 2 or 3 waves of stimmies to the people without sending stimmies to the banks, corporations, right? That's never going to happen. Anyway, I don't want the stream to just be about me complaining. But these are all salient points. Try to remain focused. But yeah, I see the anger. You know, one of these guys on TikTok, which again, I don't watch. This is all content that gets filtered out into YouTube. And, some middle-aged bozo, not a boomer, I don't think, though. I'm probably like the oldest of the millennials who are now middle-aged, lest we forget. how time flies. He's just yelling, right? Yelling about his heating bill or whatever. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's somewhat amusing, sure, but I think it says a lot about the plight of the people that they can't see this coming because I'll brag on myself a little bit. If you look at what I did right after the global financial crisis, uh, I was already budgeting my income and my wife's income. And then I went even further into budgeting, right? Me and the wife would sit down with a notebook and I showed her, look, this is what we're doing. This line by line, this is the money when it comes in. This is when it goes out for the bills. This is what we spend on, here's your what your cigarettes cost for a month. Here's your $10 you walk out the door with for your taquitos at the corner store or whatever the hell you buy. I don't care. Do whatever you want. And for lunch, I guess, this is what we're doing. That's what we did. That was, 2011, 2010, 2011. It's 15 fucking years ago. So you're going to have a lot of Americans that are about to get into an actual written budget. Fuck these apps. Apps are bullshit. Actual budget, couponing, boarding, which is another way to say prepping, right? Put the thermostat at 68 in the winter. All of these things, right? At some point, people start to figure out that they're gym rats or whatever. It's like, well, maybe get a wood stove, fucking chop some firewood. There's your workout. Right? Get a couple of little space heaters. We did 2 winters of woods back then too. Wood burning stove with those little space heaters from Walmart. With the oil circulating. I guess we caught those right before they took those off the market. The oil ones. I think they banned. You can still get them. Had a couple of those in the bedroom. We both worked the same hours, so we just came home to a freezing ass house and just had to fucking deal with it. I think we space heated the bedroom while we were gone. It's probably what we did. And then everything else just got, cold as fuck. You just had to deal with it until the stove got everything heated up. And what's wrong with that if people want to romanticize the past? Yeah, that's called old timey. You fucking suffered, right? And the people are suffering today. They're suffering, they're suffering, economically, I would say it's more tied to self-image, consumption, and branding. While that's all the proverbial keeping up with the Joneses, I mean, it's way worse nowadays, right? Branding, especially. And then I, within a couple of years, adapted to living without an apartment or a house. So it's funny. What I see a lot of the general public and the normies doing is versions of what I did many, many years ago. And I know some of you have your own versions of that also. I'm not putting myself out there as special or different in that way. But, pragmatism, right? Effectiveness. And I think it also says a lot about the NPC normie and of course, the obsession with the inborn or inherent obsession with normalizing. But then you also get into, they can't really do these things independently. They're dependent upon the people around them. They need the people around them to be adopting this. And this is really where the TikTok and the social media comes in. It's sort of a cope session support group, but it's not really a support group. It's a way that they all feel okay about it. For them to go, even as social isolation is off the charts and they're going through it alone. And then what is a lot of the rhetoric is always, somebody sort of grandstanding saying, well, you're not alone. It's like, well, yeah, you are in a way. But, the being is always alone in those ways. Born alone, die alone type shit. Now one car is caught up to me, but they're determined to get into a group with me. I've already slowed down into the 50s from 68, and they're hell bent on getting in a group with me. This is the NPC normie. They just have to be a part of a group. They have to be. And I would dare say that most people that end up in corners of the internet, like whatever this is, are not that way at all. And then, of course, what invariably happens is I have to go so slow to get them away from me. Now the next one's catching up to me. Who's probably going to do the same fucking thing to me. So I was in my groove. One NPC presents themselves next to me in my mirror, says, here, do with me what you wish. It's like, well, I wish for you to be gone. Now now I'm out of my flow. I had my own space. I guess normies can't normalize a person doing their own thing and having their own space and going their own way, right? That can't be normalized because it can't be attached to a group. Now, it will be, but it's like a group of hermits. It's like, what are you talking about? It doesn't really work. I can still see that first car's taillights. It's like, well, how did they catch up to me? They did not catch up to me by going my speed or slower. Like, what is this? People are off their heads, man. And so I do find it important to understand if humans, well, I shouldn't say humans, the people that listen to people that talk about topics such as discussed in this channel, it's important to recognize that as a human, contained within the dead flesh is a station, and it is representative of nothing whatsoever. And so that hope for humanity or that hope in humanity, it's always going to be there on some level. Even I, forget myself, fall into that. But there's never, ever, ever going to be and never has been any sort of power to the people, group level problem solving. It's a false premise, the idea of community or clicking up or finding so-called like-minded people, right? It's just not a thing. And you can have collaboration on an ad hoc grassroots basis. And some of this is my opinions, folks. I do tend to speak my opinions as if they're facts, but it was probably 4 years ago or longer. Here, let me apply my brakes so you can get out of my mirror. Thank you. And remember, these people will watch anything. They'll watch my lit up face in the mirror. They'll just watch it. They will watch anything. Doesn't matter what it is. They will watch it. They have no standards. But there's no. But so as contained within the human experience and the dead flesh, there's always these attachments and these mechanisms, and a lulling oneself into a false reality that it's possible, to that reformation is possible. It's not external reformation. There is no possibility of a coming together. But then why does the human have such a strong desire to accomplish that coming together? Well, that's probably this world of death and game of lies that makes an enemy of what I am. That's probably its machinations playing upon the spirit of what I am. We're going to the fruit early, so bear with me while we eat some grapes. The royal we. Apologies in advance for the mouth noises. And then the immature social layers, because some of my own dealings with the public, it's really based on a layer of personality where I'm serving the other person and I'm serving the situation by helping facilitate and 2 or more individuals being able to get through a process, right? With the least amount of effort, damage, strife, struggle possible. But then remember, a lot of folks enjoy all of that strife, struggle, drama, whatever that is. Make things difficult. They like it. They like to make things difficult. So, for example, when I was delivering the other day, 2 days ago now, I guess, the second of 2 deliveries that day, It took me probably 5 extra minutes to back in. But when somebody's standing with the car that yacht with their hands on their hips, 5 minutes seems like 20, right? And then, so if we think about those 5 minutes, why are the humans artificially making this into a difficulty when, who cares if I can't hit a dock for 5 minutes? Because at the end of the 5 minutes, the trailer is back into the dock and they unloaded it. It's 5 minutes. If I'd gotten there 10 minutes later, nobody would have noticed. Right? Nobody would have known. I didn't even have an appointment time. Nobody even told me an appointment time. So when I got there, they're like, okay, yeah, you're the 3 o'clock truck or whatever. And I'm like, okay. I said, nobody ever told me. Oh, excuse me. I'm just basically, they told me to get here and I'm here. And I'm like, hey, if you need me to wait, whatever. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter to me. And so now I fall on the sword of my own retardation backing. I just tell the people, hey, I'm retarded. If the retardation kicks in, this might take a couple of extra minutes. So bear with me. But I assure them, it's like, I'm careful. I don't ever hit anything. Which I would say is a sign that I actually know what I'm doing. It takes longer compared to other people, and it looks fucking strange while I'm doing it. But who cares? I just don't understand why anybody would care. And part of it is the NPC normie can't normalize what they're looking at. They're watching somebody seemingly struggle. And the only way they could really normalize that is that has to be a new driver that's still learning how to back up. Right. Which then means they're also new to their job in all the other ways. Right. So then I start getting, at a certain point, they want to start cautioning me on, if it's a tight place to maneuver. And I'm like, oh no, I'm fucking tip top on the, if I'm going forward, I'm top of the heap on tight maneuver. That's not a problem. No problem whatsoever with that. And it's too much of a paradox. They can't normalize the paradox, apparently. And it causes them, again, discomfitting is the word. They're internally discomfited. And in part, it's because they're not processing the data in their brains enough to understand that they're going through an emotional process with respect to things that ultimately don't fucking matter. Right? It's like, hey, if the guy said it's going to take him an extra few minutes, let's just wait 10 more minutes and then open the fucking door and see what's out there. And they might be, oh, look, here's an open trailer. Hey, look, there's the product. Let's unload it. Right? Like, they're the ones choosing to open the dock door, stand there at the end of the dock with their hands on their hips, almost as if they're going to reach out at a point and grab hold of the rear of the trailer and pull it to them. Right? And I'm just looking, I'm like, what are y'all doing? It's crazy. And the worst thing for me is every time I look in that mirror, if I see a human being, that's the worst case scenario for me. I shouldn't be seeing humans in my mirror. I'm supposed to see no humans in my mirror when I'm backing up. So I'm already like, why is there a human in the mirror? What is this? Did y'all got something to do? Could have showed up 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, an hour later. What would they have been doing if I hadn't showed it? So whatever that is, go do it. Right? Maybe I'll just start telling them that. Probably not. But see, I accept that this is the way they are because I have to accept that this is how they are because otherwise my colon can't be healed and restored. Right? Which is a ultimate form of narcissism in a way. It's all about me. Right? And it is, from my perspective. And I could tell it was 3, Nashville hipster types, right, of varying ages, but none of them were, well, one of them was Gen X, but, hipster, like a Nashville hipster Gen X, doofus, hipster doofus. And then remember, because of the spiritual war, Benton has to be treated as if he's guilty of something, right? And then, I need to be, why do I need to be subjected to a shame process? Because of the way it looked when I backed up. Right? I mean, come on. What are we doing? So, a lot of what I do with my attitude and just my kind of gregarious, affability is to just sort of help facilitate things. When I got loaded yesterday, at the end of the day, the lady, she had her own version of that. She just seamlessly facilitated the entire interaction. And all I have to do is my little part, and then we both get through it with a minimum amount of pounds of flesh needing to be extracted. No contention, no strife, right? An altogether positive experience. Why, if we're going to be forced to interact, why wouldn't we both make it our goal to make this as easy as possible for everybody involved, right? Pragmatism. It's pragmatic, right? And whatever my mood is, what's that have to do with anything? I can still put forth a jovial countenance, right? And this is where I think all this keep it real stuff has gone off the rails because, a lot of folks, it's almost like they want to imply that it's dishonest somehow, not to keep it real. Like, oh, so now if I'm grouchy and cranky, I got to just be grouchy and cranky to everybody I come across? Like, why can't I be grouchy and cranky and still be jovial and conciliatory to people. If that's the right, that's probably not quite the right term, but it's close enough. I can still empathetically, meaning put myself in their shoes, golden rule my way through things, even if I'm cranky inside, right? Which I guess is a violation. What I am is cranky, but the emotions of the dead flesh, I guess, would be the dead emotions of the dead flesh, I guess, would be a better way to put it. Now we're on to the blueberries. Blueberries. And I finally had, and especially with me being a fucking direct, blunt asshole some of the time, and then I've had it heavily implied that, it's almost like people want to try to act like they're victims because I'm, seem like a so-called nice guy or whatever. It's like, no, those are called manners. Like, anybody can have manners, you know. Yeah, anybody can have manners, even assholes. Right? I'm not obligated to be a jerk because these bozos don't want to pay attention and think about things. And then, it kind of sneaks up on them. If they want to run the scripts of their own pattern recognition, and they don't have a means to figure out, oh, well, sometimes a person comes along that doesn't fit the pattern. Yeah. You got to work that into the pattern, the flow chart. You need a different pattern. You can't run all of humanity through the one pattern. It doesn't work. You need the main pattern for 85% of them, and then you need some kind of way to deal with the ones who don't adhere to that. Obviously. So at a certain point, it's like, what did I do to promise you that I'm not a fucking asshole? Like, I don't remember, when did I agree to not be an asshole? I don't remember that. And it's not even me being an asshole. That's the thing is, most of the time it's somebody's transgressing, forcing me to set a boundary, and then I'm viewed as the ass. It's like, that's not me being an asshole. That's them being a jerk by making me enforce a boundary. But as we know, what I am will always be treated as if it's guilty of something. Always. Now, there's some exceptions. Again, during an extraction process, that may not be the case, but, by and large, that is the modus operandi of the realm. And so the ultimate point I believe I'm trying to make is the mistake in trying to farm any of this out to other people to, then blame it on society or say, well, society should be different or could be different. It's like, no, it can't be different. It can't be different. The economy can't be good. The system is dependent upon exploit. There has to be a class of exploited persons at all times due to the adversarial realm nature of the realm. It has to be this way. Now, not to justify what's happening, because remember, this is not, in fact, justification is not the proper terminology or the proper viewpoint, because this realm is heavily based on a lack of justice, meaning this world left to its own devices is incapable of producing just outcomes. It's not able to do that. And it never will be. Ever. You'll never have a proper government. Ever. There's never been a proper government. Not for 1 second. There never will be. Impossible. So then you get into what is the desire and what is the need, for power, with respect to an individual and their life, so-called, or, their protracted experience of death. And it seems to me that knowing that there is no power externally within delusion and illusion, and can't be, nor is there meaning except what can be gleaned, but then the meaning is brought forth within the individual through an internal process or internal processes. Here's a Walmart next to a truck stop, but I'm here too early. Oh well. Rinse out my mouth here. Where's the water? There's the water. Mm. Man, be interesting to see what today's like. I'm wondering if it's gonna. I'm already feeling like it might be something of a repeat of yesterday with the feeling wiped out. I think part of it was having the first egg yolk drink, and then like an hour later having all this fruit, and then like an hour later having the second egg yolk drink. Seems to have stirred things up in a good way. So we'll see how it goes. Oh, excuse me, pardon me. Woo! It's going down in the abdomen here. Goodness gracious. Apologies for the dead air. Perhaps the silence is a meditation, perhaps. Oh, excuse me. It's funny what we get used to because I'm starting to feel nauseated. It reminds me that I had strong nausea about 2 hours a day every day for like a year and a half. So at a certain point, it's just like, oh yeah, that's the strong nausea, the daily strong nausea for 2 hours. But then when the being isn't used to that, it's like, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's like, yeah, buddy, you know what that is. It's all part of the process. Get you healed up and restored, Bubba. That's the thing about healing and restoration, you know, and requesting, right? Invoking, if that's the proper term. the cliched idea of be careful what you wish for. Yeah. But then, buy the ticket, take the ride. And in my world, if it's all for the better, if it's all for the good, as far as, eventually putting most of this behind me, bring it on. Bring it on. I do not feel very well at all. There's nothing to be done. There's no sympathy that needs to be conveyed. There's just, it's a part of a process. It's all part of a process. And what is that process? Death, a protracted experience of death. So part of, if I think about now, the idea of declaring that I was actively dying years ago in the context of this channel and daily live streams, performative, whatever that was. And, now I think this version of Benton viewing that version of Benton go, oh, you're unique. That version of Benton's declaring a process of active dying. Oh, he's unique and special. Okay. He's actively dying. Okay. Yeah. You and everybody else, buddy. Now, they don't seem to understand that that's what's happening. Make no mistake, that is what's happening. Now, arguably, Benton's was, for a time, certainly had different choices been made. And, that could have been quite close to the end, right? Couldn't. Well, that's all of the time could be quite close to the end. The end of the thing that never had a begin. I mean, what are we talking about? Right? This so-called life. Oh no. It's almost over. It never started. It's nothing dressed up as something. The emperor wears no clothes. Why must the being be told constantly and reminded how wonderful this so-called life is? It's not. It's death. Do some beings find a way to seemingly enjoy death? What's that got to do with it? Oh, look. What do I get? Oh, I don't care about any of that. By what state of the performer in the performance, the state claims ownership. The state claims that as property. Now, it doesn't necessarily directly state that. It certainly operates on that basis. I belong to it, or Benton does anyway, from its perspective. And it, from its perspective, will do with its property as it sees fit. Of course, then again, it has no choice but to follow law and legalese. I mean, actual law, the law of what I am. See, so, right? Or is it Benton's master, or is it both things simultaneously? And the warfare waged against what I am by treating the spirit of what I am as if it must be guilty and it must be, in need of redemption, right? Or in need of absolution. And then, of course, if the system can promote itself as authoritative and containing of justice, then it can put itself into the position of passing judgment and saying, okay, well, Benton has earned the, I already forgot the word again, absolution. If you don't know what that one means, you might want to look it up. That's an important one. And it's also based on the idea that Benton must be guilty at a default state until the absolution is earned, attained, unlocked, and deserved, right? Which is Christianity, in fact, based on the idea of the individual as a fallen, wicked sinner. And it tips its bit because let's say I'm a churchgoer. Let's say Benton's a churchgoer. He gets married to a woman in the church. They produce offspring. Is the offspring from day one a lowland, retching, wicked, depraved, fallen sinner? Well, according to Christianity, it is. Does that make sense to anybody? The innocent, spiritually perfected child, in my view, is a lowly, wretched, sinning creature, deceitful, unable to know right from wrong, unable to express righteously. Really? Well, property of Moloch, we know that. Sacrificed. Now, why is it sacrificed? Why is the child the sacrifice? Because it has the highest symbolic value. Why? Because of the innocence and spiritual perfection. That's why. And it's treated from day one as if it's fallen, wicked, shameful, repugnant, and need. It must atone so that it can be absolved. That's how it's treated. And then some are born into bloodlines and actual wealth and all of these things. Now they're subjected to their own processes, but it's sort of a different thing in a way. Then we get into our Carl Reiner, Nick Reiner, Rob Reiner, all these Reiners type people. And to me, Nick, that's the evil without the mask. That's the craven, self-serving nature without the mask. But then, sort of, like Gollum from the movies, right? And I didn't watch those movies, so maybe that's not the proper reference, but you know, this is a person who apparently never even developed his own personality, right? And how come in spite of myself, forgetting myself at the fuel pump the other morning, struck up a conversation with the trucker next to me, and society is so dysfunctional that at the very start of the conversation, he's trying to introduce me to his dog by name. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm thinking to myself, well, thank you for letting me know that you don't have your own personality. Or probably in this fella's case, just, may have never been supported or felt comfortable expressing it, right? And then for better or for worse, old Benton here made to perform as a child as a Jehovah's Witness that I never joined, but to perform in that context, right? Well, how is that performance going to be given? Well, through a personality, via a personality, versus this fella, and maybe part of that is he doesn't have his own fake persona, right? But now there's a dog. We can, if all of a sudden I'm into dogs, I guess we can stand there. Of course, this is a younger black fella, so the dog's probably not safe for him to. Thankfully, the dog got to remain in the truck. Because I'm certainly not. I don't like having to pretend not to have antisocial personality traits because somebody's unleashed their animal into the environment. It's like, oh, okay, now I have to pretend. I think that's why I like cats so much. I don't have to pretend not to be have antisocial personality traits. You just kind of look at the cat looks at you, and then maybe there's some petting and rubbing. It goes on about its day, or there's not, right? Because the cat's looking at you like, hey, man, you could pet me if you want. It's like, yeah, I'm good. The cat's like, all right, man, see ya. And it just leaves, right? It's a very different experience with a dog. These people, the fact that he needs a dog, right? What do you need a dog for? And then, I can't even really have a conversation with almost anybody about truck driving because they're going to want to ask me about it. Now we got to introduce a pet to the equation. So, well, I'm not a pet person. I'm not into pets. And then my mom, she can't remember that my sister was married to a guy that drove a truck. And at a certain point, I guess because of economics, they were going to try to make her into a team. They were going to try to do team driving. And then the next thing you know, there's a cat in the truck. It's like, okay, great. What's that have to do with me? What does that do? What does that do for me? I don't see the benefit. Where's the upside? And they're like, what, are you heartless? Are you this? Are you that? I'm like, well, I've heard of serial killers that were after being caught, were preoccupied with how well their beloved dog was being taken care of. I mean, are you somehow implying that there's something wrong with me if I'm unwilling to love an animal? I mean, I don't see the connection. Because wouldn't that have to work in both directions? So now the serial killers are loving, caring. Like, it actually doesn't prove anything. Now, if I was interested in deceiving and tricking a bunch of people to perform evil upon them, I guess I probably would have an animal or a pet to help fool you bozos. Or those bozos, as it may be. I mean, what are we doing? And, I'm a kind of old school. Go back to 1950 something and try to talk to a grown ass man about pets. He'd look like you're crazy. What are you talking about? Pets? Fuck out of here. What are you talking about, man? We got a dog. It lives in the yard. I mean, what's there to discuss beyond that? Now it's a nation of dog lovers. Well, yeah, apparently some of the serial killers love their dogs too. That leads me to believe that there really ain't no love there. See, that's what I begin to suspect. You got a human incapable of love, and you got a dead animal that will never know life, and they're best friends. That's what I see. And I guess if this world ever had been capable of offering me something that I valued, perhaps I would have been willing to fake the funk. What's in it for me? And the gasps of, oh my God, can you believe he's trying to see what's in it for him? He's seeking his advantage. I learned it from this world. That's one of the major lessons of coming to this place. It's the seeking of advantage. That's all day, every day here. What are you talking about? All day, every day. Man will dominate man unto man's own interest. So I probably need to go back and read some of the Gospels. I don't remember there being any talk of pets with respect to the Lord Christ Jesus. Where do pets enter the equation? Could you help me understand that? And so these people of the past, these great Leave It to Beaver, Ozzie and Harriet types, how were there episodes of Leave It to Beaver and they didn't involve a group of people standing around looking down at a dog and talking about a dog? Because that was a better society, right? So that's part of a proper desirable society is people stand around and look down and talk about a dog, right? So how come there's not episodes of Leave It to Beaver like that, right? And then I saw somebody passed away recently in some kind of, I don't know what it was, but maybe a survival situation. I can't remember the details, but somebody tried to call the dog a hero because the dog, stayed with them through their death or whatever. I'm like, hero? I said Lassie would have went and got help, and that fella wouldn't have died at all. Lassie would have left and came back with help. Right? And I don't know that Lassie was called a hero directly, but so now the dog's a hero just for hanging out and maybe being of comfort during the death and being loyal, right? Loyal to what? Exactly. Some OnlyFans sugar daddy, some OnlyFans model sugar daddy. Weirdo boomer gooner. Good job, little fella. You sure were loyal to that piece of garbage over there. Well done. I don't know. Maybe if he'd have been a little better person, maybe Lassie would have gone and got help. Imagine these old episodes of TV and Lassie's like, you know what? I don't know, man. I don't even know if this motherfucker's worth saving. I'm out of here. Oh, well, got to keep up appearances. I guess I'll hang out to the rest till they come find his body. So then I can be loyal, right? The fuck is this, man? Get the fuck out of here. This is crazy. And nothing runs them off like me talking about dogs. Dogs and pickup trucks. This is how brainwashed these people are, man. And I don't mean the audience. I just mean Americans in general. The two most effective ways to run people off or to have a low number of listeners is talk about dogs or pickup trucks. Sacrosanct. The dog and the pickup truck. Motherfucking sacrosanct, Jack. So my memory of the olden days was a pet was just kind of neither here nor there. It's like, yeah, it lives in the yard, or yeah, we got a cat, whatever. Litter box on the back porch type shit, that's about the extent of it. And then again, the gaslighting, the spiritual attacks, and Benton will be treated as if he's guilty. And so when it's implied that there might be something wrong with Benton, and the dog lovers want to portray themselves as some type of way. Okay, what about the cows, man? What about the cattle? What about meat is motherfucking murder, Jack? What about all that? That's completely fine, but there's something wrong with Benton because he don't fucking mouth kiss a dog. Fucking weirdos. And again, I'm not even necessarily opposed to the processing of beef. What I'm talking about is anybody who has any level of understanding of meat packing in slaughterhouses, but who won't say, yeah, meat is murder. That's delusional and in denial. Meat's motherfucking murder. And murder tastes pretty fucking good some of the time, obviously. But to pretend like it's not what it is fucking insane. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. But I guess those animals aren't. Those aren't loving beings with their own spirit and soul. And yeah, you're right. They're not. They're just as dead as your pet dog. It does not contain life. Sorry, it don't. It never did. It never will. That's just how it is. You know, why am I in trouble for being able to figure this out? Right. Well, that one got the dander up a little bit. But remember, Benton has his fake personality to pretend to give a fuck about this fella's dog. You know, of course, that's represents him. See, whether he understands it or not, the dog represents him. It's a proxy for him and his spirit or whatever. Proxy. Fuel pump at the truck stop. And humans, you know, they can't love each other because of themselves, right? So here's a dog, practice on the dog. Maybe then the being will learn how to love, right? They say, well, what do you know about it, Benton? Motherfucker, what I am is love. What are you talking about? And the righteous expression thereof. Of the accuses it's to constantly accuse and accuse and attack and gaslight. Don't you think it's interesting that those who used to come here on a regular basis and behave that way and constantly the raisers of the maniacal raisers of all bets, right? Who shall go nameless? That none of them come here anymore, or if they do, they don't show themselves overtly. Nothing in it for them, I expect. You know, the chief commander, he knows at this point he can't send a battalion of them low-level demons against old Benton. You know, maybe try to send some kind of higher level solo agent here and there, possibly. But these run-of-the-mill demons, well, you know, those are resources better utilized in other undertakings, clearly, right? Because most of the time, this, you know, these low-level demons don't even try me. And again, that's the spirit of what I am. There's something inside of me that's more powerful than anything you could possibly imagine. Oh, pardon me. Maybe that was a demon, realized it was in the wrong place. Said, I better get up out of here. Yeah, you're not trying to hang out that close to the Lord now, are you? Says he calling himself the Lord again? No, that's what you say. I'm talking about the I am, the what I am. Say, what is God? They say, when I hear somebody reference God, I go, what is God? What is that? And they want to make it into a who. A who? What? Benton's a who, right? That other person, they're a who. Now God's a who? What are you talking about? A what is God, not who? Hell, it makes more. If God's a who, the idea of Benton who is also a who, being God makes a hell of a lot more sense than I'm a who, you're a who, they're a who, and God's a who. It makes a lot more sense that God would be a what in that context. Why would God be the same thing as me, you, and that feller over there? Does that make any kind of sense to anybody? In the context of a human being encased seemingly in the dead flesh of a world of death and a game of lies, vacuous, delusory, adversarial realm of business transactions, always reconciling, one would hope, for waking dreams, surrealistic unreality, deja vu all over again. They must be crazy. I think they probably are. Let me take a look at my map here. There we go. There's Sykeston. Let's see. I might just go to that Walmart. I need fuel too. We go to get fuel at the Loves. By then, hopefully, the Walmart will be open. Oh yeah, yeah. It's an hour and a half away to the Walmart. Perfect. This says 6:22. I guess I better speed up. I'm only going 58 for some reason. But speed up. Let's see what's this get us down to. Hour and 12 minutes. Of course, it's air quotes so-called God, lest we forget. They say Christ is king of what exactly? Answer the question of, oh, this delusory realm, really? I thought that was the other feller was king of that. I thought so. Wait, so you mean the one that offered the kingdoms of the world to Christ in the desert? That who you mean? What are we talking about? I thought Christ said no to that offer. So how the hell is Christ king of this world? The resurrection of the risen, ascended Christ within me. Worshipper and object of worship contained within the same space. My cup runneth over via the continuous renewing of the spirit of what I am. Power over the power. And now the church falls by the wayside because what purpose would the church serve given what I just described and elucidated? Because the church can't match that. The church can't operate on those levels. The church is external. There's no power. The church can't have any power. There's no possibility of power or meaning externally. Well, that's where the church operates, in the external. Oh, so object of worship outside there in the powerless, the realm of the disempowered realm that lacks meaning. I guess that's what Christ is king of, I guess. So Christ is the king of disempowerment and no meaning. Well, sure, that's what this world would assert. Of course it would, because that would suit the purposes of this world. And this world is only interested in what serves its purposes. Because what is the purpose of this world? To make an enemy of what I am. Which turns out, same thing Christ was or is. Not who, was or is. And a big part of the lying gospel of Saul of Tarsus is the idea, well, we already had a Jesus and you ain't him. So go back to your unrighteousness, sir, and leave us alone. We got governing of minds to do over here and influence. I got letters to write. But you can fuck right off. Founder of the so-called world's most popular religion. And the something being that popular in this world of death and game of lies, that's a bad motherfucking sign, if you ask me. Is that a good omen? I don't think so. Christianity thriving everywhere I look. Sure are a lot of big fancy church buildings. Are there not? Some of them just straight up look like big box stores at this point. I mean, it's getting pretty close to just start building them on the fucking blueprint of a Walmart supercenter. I guess if if Amazon don't buy them and they go belly up at some point, I guess the churches can take them over. The church / FEMA camp. Put the homeless in there, right? You know, involuntarily commit the homeless. Treat them at the Church Mart, Holy Center. And that's Nancy Pelosi's MS-13 spark of divinity. See, it's like, you know, go, walk amongst the drug addicted, mentally ill street dwellers of any major city, and, kind of shake your head and wonder what's going on. How have they fallen? And it's like, well, they were sacrificed to a pagan deity by their parents when they were babies. I mean, maybe we could cut them a little bit of slack. Nancy Pelosi, somebody brought up being tough on MS-13, and she said, well, they got the spark of divinity, don't they? We got to treat them like humans. More or less her point. That was her point, more or less, as far as I can tell. Yeah, we can character assassinate Nancy Pelosi. That's easily done. So what? Anybody can make a point. And yeah, you can make fun of Kamala all you want, Biden's poopy diaper. You get in a room with Nancy Pelosi, that bitch will chew you up and spit you out. Think you're going to match wits with that demon? Good luck. Is the way station really open? Huh. I'll be. Apparently so. Tad unexpected. We're heavy enough, they're probably going to weigh us. I'm assuming. Nope. Probably nobody here. Yeah, there's nobody here. Maybe there is. There's a car here anyway. Here, bud, go. There it is. Check my batteries here. 55%. We fogging up? What is this? What's going on? There's a Walmart in Forest City, Arkansas. I'd kind of like to go to. I don't want to wait till that late today. We'll be there for a few more hours. I used to go to that one in West Memphis, but they've made it a lot harder to get it in and out of there in the truck. I don't fuck with it really. Last time I was in Sykeston Walmart, I was in my little car. Weirdo old black man was trying to creep on me. A lot of creepy fucking weirdos out here, man. A lot of creepy weirdos. Some disgusting blob of humanity. Gross. Maybe I should have went the other way. This is a lot of damn road construction. I don't like going down all that up and down to Poplar Bluff, Missouri. I think that'd be the way I'd go if I went to St. Louis. I'm not even really sure, honestly. I was looking at the map and I was like, what fucking road is that? We're going through Pocahontas, Arkansas. I'm not a huge fan of going that way either, but it'd be all right. Or are we? No, maybe we're not. I don't know. I need to look at the map again. Maybe we're not going that way. My GPS gets a little funky sometimes. The routes it gives. If I'm going all the way to Forest City, I'm not going to Pocahontas. Pardon me. Kind of wondering what we're doing once I get this load delivered. Just going to keep running on recaps. Which I don't necessarily mind, but I don't even remember when I took home time. I guess I'm probably going to work like 3 weeks and start taking 3 days off, mostly just to rest up. So I guess I need to put in for that. The thing about trucking is, in my experience, it's easier to just keep working. That whole stop and start for home time, it can fuck the scheduling up, but I mean, they fuck that up anyway. The dispatcher wrapping up for the weekend and then having to wait for them to come in Monday morning kind of fucks shit up too. So it's just like, what's the difference? Now we're hitting the fall. What's up? Good to see you, sir. Guess he's racing home for Christmas. Don't want to piss off mama, right? It's like, well, buddy, I'm not involved in pleasing mama, so I'm going to tell you, that's not it's none of my concern. That fruit seemed to help me out. Not feeling quite as poorly as I was earlier. Anyway. Excuse me, pardon me. Well, I guess I'm going to get off of here. It's been 2 hours. That's good enough. Bye.